The Sherlock Holmes man. Captain Carthers was recovering from his shock. Still confused, he was determined to get a grip on the situation. Hadn't we better give the alarm about all this? He waved at the gaping crater. Certainly not, said the doctor. For one thing, there's no need. Even in a remote highlands of Scotland, someone's going to notice a missing castle after a while. But with any luck, it may not happen for a bit. For the moment, the less fuss, the better. If you say so, doctor, said Carthers. Well, if we're going to go back to London, we'd better get moving. There's a train at... Take far too long, said the doctor. What then? I'll give you a lift, said the doctor. Get you there much quicker. Quicker than a train? Much quicker, said Martha. I say, you haven't got one of those newfangled flying machines, like those Wright brothers in America. There's a French fellow called Bill Wright. Swears he's going to fly the Channel. Pilot are you, doctor? In a fashion, said the doctor. Pioneer, certainly. Come on. Time we get moving. As they set off down the hill, Martha smiled to herself. Captain Henry Carthers was in for another shock. In fact, Carthers accepted the journey back to London in the police box that had been invented quite calmly, as it was as if his powers of astonishment had been all used up. And even the fact that the TARDIS was bigger on the inside than on the outside hadn't thrown him too much. He looked around the complex controls and said dryly, "Most impressive." The doctor busied himself setting controls at the center console for quite some time. "Sorry it's taking so long," he said to them after a while. "Believe it or not, these short trips are trickier than the long ones. Pluto would be easier than Piccadilly. There's a time factor too. Don't want to arrive before we set off." He stared into space, then he shook his head. No, definitely not. At least the doctor would be happy at the central column beginning to rise and fall. A few minutes later, the TARDIS was standing on a corner of a quiet street just by Piccadilly Circus. The doctor opened the door and Martha peered out. She always felt a thrill of excitement finding out where they were. Sure enough, there was a familiar London street, jammed not with cars, but with crowded, horse-drawn bruises and hansom cabs. No tube situation that won't open until 1906. In a few more years, and no neon signs, but there were euros. It was Piccadilly Circus, all right. "Off you go then," said the doctor. "Good luck. Don't forget, Martha. Get in touch as soon as you can." They left the TARDIS and watched as it faded away. It had come and gone so quickly that nobody seemed to notice. Or if they did, they didn't believe their eyes. Carthers raised his hand and hailed a hansom cab. "Mount Street, please, driver." "Where are we going?" asked Martha. "My rooms." "Why?" "My dear girl, I can't go parading around town in country tweeds." Despite Martha's protests, Carthers would not be swayed. Then, when they reached his rooms, he tried to make Martha wait outside. "My man's on holiday, and you can't possibly be alone with me in my rooms." "What about your reputation?" "Yeah, well, we're not likely to meet anyone who knows me." Martha waited in Carthers' little sitting room until he appeared in a dark suit, complete with hat and stick and gloves. "Very nice," said Martha. "Now can we go find your friend Doyle? It's an urgent, you know. We'll try the Grand in Northumberland Avenue first. He's nearly always stays there." The horse-drawn hansom cab drew up outside the entrance of a large hotel. "There you are, sir," called the driver. "Grand Hotel." Henry Carthers got out and helped Martha climb down. He paid the driver, who touched his hat, cracked his whip, and drove away. Carthers turned to Martha. "As I said, he usually stays here when he's in London, but if not, there are one or two others we could try." He took her inside. They were in luck, however. Doyle was staying at the hotel. Carthers told them at the reception desk that he was an old friend of Doyle, here on urgent business. He insisted on being shown up to his room. At the top of the short staircase, they were shown through the door on the first floor suite. They entered a smartly furnished sitting room. At the same moment, a big man with a large mustache came in through the bedroom doors. He held out his hand. "Harry, I thought you were still in Balmoral." I was until a very short time ago. Allow me to introduce my friend Miss Jones. Visitor from, he broke off, realizing he had no idea where Martha was actually from. Miss Jones, Arthur Conan Doyle, famous creator of Sherlock Holmes. Sir Arthur frowned. More importantly, an embedded doctor and a famous historical novelist, said Arthur quickly. Sir Arthur beamed and bowed. In honor, Miss Jones, please, be seated. Doyle sat in a large leather armchair, Martha and Carther's on a velvet sofa. Congratulations on the knighthood, Sir Arthur, said Carther. A royal nod, you might say. What do you mean? They say His Majesty has a great Sherlock Holmes fan. Wants more stories from you. The honor has nothing to do with Holmes, protested Doyle. I've killed a fellow off, you know. He was just directing attention from my work as a historical novelist. The knighthood was for the War of South Africa. It caused the conduct, and of course, for my medical work. He turned to Martha. Tried to get into the fighting, but they wouldn't have me. So I went out as a doctor. Martha felt it was time to get down to business. We've come to see you on a very urgent matter, Sir Arthur. We need your help. Of course, my dear. Anything I can do. You remember visiting me in my rooms, Arthur, just before we set off for Balmoral? You gave me a device, a crystal sphere with a spinning light inside. Doyle looked at Martha. This is a very private matter, Captain Carruthers. Miss Jones has my full confidence, said Carruthers. He had a sudden idea. Miss Jones is assistant to a very noted scientist, a certain Dr. Smith, who is very interested in your device. Carruthers turned to Martha for support. The doctor thinks the device has great potential as an energy source, she said solemnly, but he wants to know more about it, like where you got it from. That's right, said Carruthers. Who gave it to you? Where did it come from? Doyle looked worried, and his big frame shifted uneasily. I'm not at liberty to say. I was told, unless you confide in us, the matter can go no further, said Carruthers sternly. The benefits of the device will be lost to humanity. Doyle still looked doubtful. Just tell us who gave it to you, urged Martha. That's all. Then we can go and ask them about it. It's up to them and what they tell us then. Please, Sir Arthur, just tell us.